Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely, wonderful, black and beautiful wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing great. Isn't that a great introduction you got there? Very
Yeah.
nice. I
Well,
appreciate it.
I'm gonna greet you every morning with a round of applause.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like remember that song? Let's hear it for the boy. Except you switch it the word boy to girl. That will be.
Okay.
I celebrate you.
Yes, let's hear it for the boy. Denise Williams from Gary, Indiana. Thank you very
That's right. She
much.
was in gay,
That's
wasn't she?
right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. She had that
I'm
whole
telling
crazy.
you, it's a lot of great people from that city.
Gary does have a lot of amazing people. We were watching the Muhammad Ali documentary last night, and he married a lady from Gary.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and your mama was telling us about her friends and all the
Yeah,
women
her
in the
friend.
'60s who
Yeah.
thought Ali was the stuff.
Well, her friend dated Muhammad Ali. Well, when he was Cassius Clay.
Oh, and Ali also means a lot to me too because I'm from Louisville.
Ah.
Scoot down. Scoot
Oh,
down.
that's what's up.
Yeah, scoot down. Scoot down.
Am I too squishy?
Well, no, you're too high.
Oh, I'm
You gotta
squishing
scoot
you.
down next to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
yeah. I need you. I need us to be able to make eye contact. We need to be level.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyway, let's get started. All right, so hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Corey and Walter Suggs and Max Jerome, Majestic Minister, Brother Man, what's going on? Okay, so give me a yes or no. How many of you all saw this Netflix documentary called The Tinder Swindler?
It made me I had a roller coaster of emotions, didn't you?
Yeah,
It
I
was
mean,
like I was sad, I was kind of like mad, I was frustrated, and at the end I was really frustrated. So
well, it was I wasn't frustrated. I
no.
was I was kind of. I mean, I felt bad for the victims. The women that got basically the documentary. In case you don't know, quick synopsis. It's about a man who had a fake name, Simon Leviev, who pretended to be the son of a billionaire, who would just basically, he was pulling women's money and tricking them out of it, and I mean, to the tune of millions of dollars. I mean, he had a whole industrial size operation. He had a lot of women in the rotation at the same time, and it
That
was
was his
heavy.
his full-time job, was just juggling women full time and taking them for their money.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like what
Yeah.
Cardi B used to do to men. Remember that?
Ah, yeah, yeah. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
and
she wrote songs about it. She was real proud about it too.
yeah, yeah. Now that's an interesting thing, right?
Hmm.
I think the first question I would ask, and I'd like to get a yes or no in the chat. Give me a yes or no. Um, do you think that society has kind of a little bit of a double standard since it was a man who was taking advantage of women to get their money versus maybe a woman who takes advantage of men to get their money? Like, do you think that there's a double standard, or do you think that we look at Cardi B the same way we look at this guy?
Well, there was a whole movie called Hustlers. Remember that?
Yeah,
And so they would like hustle men out of their money. It was a whole movie. It wasn't a blockbuster necessarily, but yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
was funny.
And they,
We
and they,
laughed at it.
yeah, and they portrayed the women like heroes.
Mm-hmm. They're
Like,
attacking.
yeah, you're getting revenge on these arrogant men because what they did was I remember this was just what I saw from the previews, but it seemed to me like they were sort of positioning the men as like these arrogant pricks who deserve what's coming to them
Mm-hmm.
because they're arrogant, right? And it's interesting because there are people I saw online when they saw this story about Simon Leviev and the Tinder Swindler. They
Right.
positioned the women as gold diggers. They were like, well, you're trying to date this guy because he's the son of a billionaire and you want to have this, this luxury lifestyle. And, so, you're trying to play him to get his bread. Well, he played you and got your bread. I don't know. What do you think about that?
It's abusive for sure. It's financial abuse and manipulation, and it's
Mm,
wrong on either side.
yeah.
So, and I think that men in particular are probably more susceptible to financial abuse than women. And I think
Mm,
women take advantage of men financially sometimes.
mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
I would almost say that in the documentary, it was, I think that what he did was pretty terrible because he just created a whole fake reality. I mean, super super fake, and he also he sunk his nails into the women. Like if he felt like you were a sucker, like if you were going to just keep giving up money. It almost seemed to me like during the documentary, he would just kind of test the women. Because I bet you there were thousands of women he tried this on who were like,
Screw
man,
you,
you
I'm
better
out
get
of
up out
here.
of here. I'll send you $20. That's it. Right. But then you get those women who are the kindest, who are like,
Yeah.
I really, really care about you, you know, and they've got the money. So they got the capacity to pay and the willingness, like, because they really love him. It seems like those are the women that got hit the hardest.
Yeah, and that's the type of women who are susceptible, are women who have this people, and it's terrible because they're people who have this outlook in life where they feel like if I'm good to you, you're going to be good to me, no matter what.
Mm,
And no matter what type of treatment that you give me, as long as I'm a good person, you will, and life will always be good to me in return. That's the mentality of women who get kind of caught up into that. And it's terrible because that's like an excellent mentality. Like, that's somebody who's pretty happy, pretty cheerful. That's people who aren't paranoid about the world. They're just thinking the world is a wonderful place and I'm a wonderful person and the people around me are going to be wonderful. But at the same time, they overlook those red flags because they feel like no matter what they bring to me, I'm just going to be a good person and good things will happen to me. And they got taken
mm,
advantage of.
interesting, interesting. Yeah, well, you know what I enjoyed about when I was watching? I mean, it's a fascinating story. If anybody who hasn't seen the Tinder Swindler, you should watch it because it to me it came out as like just a warning about online dating. Because here's the thing, right? I don't know. Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all feel like you know somebody who kind of runs game like that? Not at his level.
Yeah,
He
he on a
was.
whole different
He
level.
could. He could like. I mean, he could really teach the police about people like him. Like I could see him doing. You remember Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah, based on a true
Yeah,
story.
when the
Yeah.
guy said, "Okay, now I'm gonna go work." Now my next stage in my con is I'm gonna go work for the cops and teach them how I was able to fool everybody.
It is a formula. There
Yeah,
is a formula. So the first thing is, I think we were talking about that. It was just showering that person with so much love and
love
attention.
bombs. You call them love bombs.
Yeah, they're
Tell
called
us about love bombs, Miss Relationship Therapist. I was curious. I've never heard that before. What are love bombs?
well, when you first start, well, in normal relationships, when you first start dating someone, you're interested in them, you see them, you kind of overlook their flaws a little bit, and you see them.
Mm,
Normal relationships, that's what happens. You kind of just fall in love, you're kind of swept off your feet, and you have these butterflies in your stomach, and it's normal.
mm,
It's just a normal thing. But with the love bombs, with people who are manipulators, their first tactic for controlling you is to shower you with overwhelming gifts, and to
mm,
just think that, oh my goodness, they put you up on this pedestal where they make you think that, oh my gosh, you are so wonderful and I'm so great, I'm so perfect. And
mm,
what happens in the eyes of the victim, they think, I got a good catch,
mm.
this man
You
is
dropped the
so great.
bomb on me,
He
baby.
swept me, he swept me off my feet, and he's a good catch. So I think the first sign is that if you're dating someone and you start to feel like he's a knight in shining armor, that's a sign that something's wrong.
Mm. Well, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? Actually, but when I'm not pushing back at all on what you said.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am gonna say, I'm, in defense of the guys who would not be trying to, jack women for all their money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have seen scenarios though where a man really was trying that hard to, fit with a woman. Like I feel like when a man is really in love with a woman, like he really just is like, okay, this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he is on his best behavior. Like he
Mm-hmm.
does say, okay, I'm really gonna step forward and do my absolute best. So I don't think it always means that they're scamming you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it definitely does make you should wonder, like, okay, can you maintain even a fraction of what you're doing? Because in the beginning of a relationship, everybody's just kind of crazy and stupid because love is that powerful.
Right. So normal relationships, yeah, you're gonna be on your best behavior. I'm gonna take you to Red Lobster somewhere.
With the
I'm
cheddar
gonna take you
biscuits,
with the
girl, you
cheddar
gonna get the
biscuit.
cheddar biscuits.
Normal relationships, yes, but in these type of manipulative, controlling
Mm,
relationships, you start to feel overwhelmed. You're like, whoa, this is way too much, too fast. It's overwhelming. He's going too fast at the beginning is a sign, so that's different.
well, you know what
Hmm.
it makes me think about too? It makes me actually. I've thinking about politics. I feel like that's what the Democratic Party does to black people. I do. Think about it. You're always at a disadvantage when you are in love with somebody who's not in love with you at all, who's totally thinking totally rationally. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're drunk with love, like Beyonce,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just totally rational. They're observing the drunk person and saying, "How can I jack this drunk person? How can I exploit their emotionality?" Right. So black people go into politics. We're extremely emotional, and and then they you remember when Nancy Pelosi had the kente cloth on, and
Oh, it's the
they
honeymoon.
all did the kneel, and they were all like saying Black Lives Matter everywhere.
Mhm.
And then what happens if you pay attention in the documentary? What happened? How did he get their money? He went into like this crisis mode. Like, oh my God, I do
We can't focus
no
on
time to ask questions.
reparations.
Right, we can't ask, right,
We
right,
can't focus on reparations.
right.
We got a crisis going on.
Yeah, they did that during the election. They were
Yeah.
like, "No, we just forget reparations. We just got to get Trump
Mhm.
out of office. We just
Oh
got the world's
yes.
coming to an end. Oh my God." That's exactly what they do. They manipulate. So I feel like it's like when what really made me sad for the people that were involved in the documentary, and I do feel like his deception was like the worst kind of deception. Like I feel like there's there's like there's like the little stuff, like for example, if you have the woman that has like the fake hair, fake nails, fake eyelashes, tons of makeup, and a waist trainer on, some guys I know, I've seen guys who feel a little bit deceived by that. Or the man who drives the nice fancy car and has the nice apartment, but he's like way in debt and his money's real messed up. That's like deception, but it's not like criminal level. This guy was criminal level
I don't
because
know
I feel like,
how deceptive that is because they'll just tell you, "Hey, this is what it is. This is what I got going on." It's not like they're just lying to you in that way, where they're just out now. Because the thing is that whenever that guy Simon, when he was pushed, he never confessed. He never talked about things. He never said,
mm,
"I'm sorry." And that's the leads into the second stage of controlling manipulative people, is that they devalue you.
mm,
They humiliate you. And as soon as it was, wait a minute, I can't pay my bills now, you want me to send you money and you never pay me that money back. That's a control tactic, and that's to say he could care less about what's going on with you and your own financial situation. All he cared about was himself, and that's
mm,
devaluing someone.
mm. Well,
Hmm.
by the way,
And breaking promises is another control tactic.
Mm.
Go
By the
ahead.
way, everybody, if you just came in, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, where we get up and we literally are laying against our pillows and we have conversations that scholars might talk about while they're laying in bed together. If you haven't seen it, we've been talking about this documentary on Netflix. It's really good. It's called The Tinder Swindler, and it's about a guy who basically had a business where he was meeting women on Tinder on the dating apps
That was his business.
and right, and just working them over in a systematic fashion, like almost like a factory. And just speaking about the Tindler Swindler, one of the things that's interesting as well about it is it made me think about online dating and the dangers of it. I've seen people get on these apps, and I mean, last time I tried online dating was over 20 years ago, because by about 2006, I got to the point where I was so kind of well known that I couldn't do online dating anymore. So, but the good thing about being well known is you just meet women because you're out giving speeches and stuff, and they try to get next to you. So it wasn't that hard to meet people. But I remember online dating and thinking like, wow, this is really um, emotionally draining a little bit, because you
Ah,
would form connections with people, and then suddenly they would just disappear. Like you go back and forth, back and forth, back and
they
forth.
ghosted you.
Yeah,
No
and then yeah,
explanation.
then they ghost you, right? Because the thing is, you're in a different market. You're in a market where every person you meet, you're considering them along with five or six other people. Maybe they're considering you along with five or six other people. So the odds that you're the one that they would choose and they're the one that you would choose are not that high. So,
Mm.
so I didn't really enjoy it that much. It was interesting, but it wasn't my thing. But I do remember seeing people get really carried away. I remember I had a friend one time who was super lonely and super sad all the time because she couldn't find a good man. So I said, well, why don't you try online dating? Like, get online and see. Now literally, this was in the AOL days. Like, you've got mail, right?
Uh-huh.
So she got on one of these online dating apps. And before I knew it, she had gone from lonely, desperate woman to player. She would be chatting. I'd be like, I would, because
Huh.
we were in the dorms at the time, and I would go by her room, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She said, "Oh, I'm chatting with 5 guys at once."
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah,
That's exciting. I mean, it's exciting, but I think, of course, I'm gonna always talk about where's the real connection there,
right.
and that's the thing. So normal relationships after that first honeymoon stage, then you start like really getting to know each other. You have that deeper level of understanding of each other. You start meeting families, then you start seeing the real person, but you still love them. You're still growing your love for that person despite of some of their little shortcomings. Everybody has them.
Yeah,
In this situation, there was no really real get to know him because everything he was saying was a lie and everything he was
yeah,
doing was manipulative.
yeah. Well, and I think with Tinder, Tinder seems different. Like swipe right,
Mm.
swipe left, and there's different subcultures. It seems like you got some people literally that will meet somebody on Tinder and just go sleep with them that day. I don't know how healthy that is. I mean, you think about this guy, playing these women. I'm sure one of his tactics, obviously, is, sleeping with them. Right? He's probably got. I bet when he gets in the bedroom, he probably knows his way around a woman's body. Right? And so if you think about this man has manipulated dozens, maybe hundreds of women. He's sleeping
Hmm.
with all of them. You know.
Yeah, I think Tinder gets kind of like, I don't know about the dating app so much, but it's
Mhm.
like Tinder gets sort of like it's the Greyhound bus of meeting someone. Like it
The
gets that
Greyhound,
sort
that's
of
funny.
reputation that it's just like ugh. And that other sites like Match.com, eHarmony is a little more elite, or Black
Yeah.
Elites Meet. I think that's another one. So you have all of these great things, but really all of the dating apps, they all have about the same rate in terms of finding someone compatible with
Mm.
you.
Yeah, I think if I was single though,
It doesn't matter which
yeah,
one.
if I was single, I probably wouldn't mess with Tinder unless I was totally unserious.
Ah, okay.
Like I feel like I have found that if you are really serious, you're better off kind of doing it a little bit the old-fashioned way. The apps are efficient though. Like you can really match up with somebody on paper.
Uh-huh.
Like okay, I like to go camping. You like to go camp. I can check boxes. Likes to go camping. Likes pets.
Mm-hmm.
Certain height, certain weight, certain age, certain everything. But it almost seems like we're trying to replicate a process that is hard to replicate. Or at the very least, we're not considering that there are dangers that come with this other approach.
There could be some dangers, but there's one factor that keeps the relationship together, and it has nothing to do with how you meet them. You can meet them at the grocery store, you can meet them, you could know them for a long time, like I've known you almost 30 years. That it has nothing to do with the success of a relationship.
Mm,
What do you think, Boyce? What's the one thing that has to do with the success of a relationship?
not being an asshole.
Okay, say more about that. What do you mean?
Be a nice person. That's it. Like I
Be a
think
nice person.
yeah.
Okay, say more about that because you're onto
To
something.
me, being a
Mm-hmm.
nice person, it's like like if here's the thing. I think there's a difference between me loving you and me caring about you.
Mm-hmm. So what does that look like? Because
Because I
I want to try to
okay,
get you to
okay,
the
okay,
answer that I'm
okay,
trying to talk.
okay,
What does that look like
okay.
in
I
a
can I
relationship?
can love a car. I can love a pair of shoes. I can love my dog, but that don't mean I care about my dog or my horse or my shoes or my car.
Okay,
Right?
keep going.
Because if I crash my car, I can just get another car. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be okay. But me caring about you to me is more of a selfless kind of thing. Like me caring about you means I want you to be happy. Like I'm gonna really
So how do you
consider.
do that in a relationship? You want the other person to be happy. You're on to something.
Hmm.
But what? How does that look in relationships in terms of how you interact with that other person?
Yeah,
What is that? What
I
is
think
that
it.
going to show?
I think it starts with empathy. Like
Mm-hmm.
me putting myself in your shoes and saying,
Mm-hmm.
what's gonna make her happy? What's her favorite food? What's her, how can she have a better day? And while I don't think you can make someone happy like that per se,
No, of course not.
I do believe that, like I can definitely tell the difference between the people in my life who love me versus the people in my life who care about me. Sometimes some of the people in my life who love me don't care about me.
No, okay, so we're getting off into another. You were very close at the beginning,
Mm.
and the thing is,
What's the right answer,
so the
Dr.
right, okay, you
Lavacqua?
don't want to wait. So the right answer is how you react when your emotions get high. That's the one factor
Mm.
that can predict a successful relationship. It's there's going to be something where you're just going to have a different perspective. And are you going to lose your shit? Are you going to just go crazy? Are you going to yell and scream? Or are you going to be able to remain calm? Are you going to be able to control your emotions? Emotion regulation is the one thing that predicts a successful relationship. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do. You can meet that person on Tinder. You can meet that person at the grocery store. You can meet them on Match.com. You can meet them at the All Black National Convention. You can meet them anywhere. It
Oh,
doesn't matter. It's how
oh my
you
God.
control your emotions. That is the one thing that predicts a successful relationship.
I have a surprise for you.
What surprise?
No one told you. um, so remember you did speed dating at the All Black National Convention?
Yes, I had a great time.
One of the women who did speed dating just announced she got engaged to a man she met at the convention.
You are kidding me. We
Yeah.
got can we go to their wedding? I'm gonna bomb
Yeah.
their wedding.
I told her, actually her name is Keisha Ravenel,
Oh,
and
Keisha.
yeah, Keisha
Okay,
runs
I
the We
heard about.
Inspire brand, and she met a guy named Jedediah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And Keisha and Jedediah, I wish I had their picture. They're on Instagram, and she's at the We Inspire brand. That's her brand. And she announced yet just yesterday. She told me that
Ah,
Jedediah, check this out. He flew all the way from Arizona to New York just to propose to her, and so to make sure that her family could be there.
so this is a long distance thing too. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter. You don't even have to live in the same city with that person. You don't even have to none of that. They can live across the world. Oh my gosh, it still can work. It still can
I was I
make a
was so
difference.
happy
I
because
love
I
this.
loved it because they're both so B1. Like they're both so like Jedediah is like, I love and respect
Do
my
you
black
have their
my black woman.
information?
I'm gonna, you know what? Well, I got
I'm gonna send them my book,
okay.
Drama Free Marriage.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell them. I'll tell them, and I think, yeah, and I'll let them know we want to come to. I already told her to send us an invitation,
Oh, I
and
was just gonna crash it.
yeah,
I was coming to
like
that
yeah,
wedding.
well, Jedediah, it's like I like it because I love it when people are on code. Like
Wow.
Keisha really respects black men, and and that starts with fathers and uncles that she respects, and then Jedediah respects black women, and I feel like if you're in that category, you have to find a partner who agrees with those values, and it's just such a
Hmm.
beautiful thing. And because remember, Keisha started her brand, We Inspire. Their slogan is "I am enough," because she says that it
Oh,
started with tragedy. She was engaged and to get married, and she hit 31, which is kind of a stressful time for some women because they feel like I should be married by 30, that kind of stuff.
they don't want to miss
And
out.
yeah, and their body is starting to
Mhm.
I mean, the clock does tick, physically anyway. And she was very just sad and depressed about it, and she had to convince herself that she was worthy. So she created a whole brand around that. And so she came to the convention and met Jedediah at the convention, and now they're on their
Ah,
way. So I'm super excited.
that's just great. This is good news, boys. So you carried this around with you all day and didn't tell me.
I forgot.
Oh
I
my
honestly did.
goodness.
I forgot to tell you.
Now see how nice I could have just yelled at you and screamed at you and gotten mad at
You
you.
raggedy
That
bastard.
doesn't keep a relationship together. Emotional regulation.
I think I do agree with that. I
Yeah.
think because I think every couple has disputes. The question is, how do you handle your disputes?
How do you handle them?
Yeah,
That is the one thing. Can
yeah,
you regulate how you feeling and how you're showing your emotions?
that's so true.
That's it.
By the way,
Mhm.
so what's interesting? Going back to the Tinder Swindler, which was our topic. By the way, this is Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. This is where Dr. Alicia and I get up and we just lay against our pillows and try to have intelligent conversations, intelligent and black, and and just all kinds of topics. So today we're talking about the Tinder Swindler, which is if you remember the other day, I think the other day we were talking about Whoopi Goldberg and all that. Now we're talking about this guy on Tinder named Simon Leviev who is famous now because he's out here jacking women for their dollars. You
Mhm.
know what was interesting about the Tinder Swindler that got my attention from a financial standpoint was basically he was running his women situation like a business. Like he had it was a Ponzi scheme.
Mhm.
And because what a Ponzi scheme does is you were able because remember he wasn't just asking for money, he was spending money to build trust. He was sending one lady $100,000. Like she borrowed what she borrowed. He borrowed like a certain amount. I think one lady borrowed 20 grand and then sent her 50,000 as a payback. So it's interesting because
No, he that's the thing. Okay, so I'm gonna get into it. He told her he was sending her the money,
mm,
but when she went to cash the check, it bounced, or it wasn't any good. He
that
never paid anybody back.
the big checks were like that. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, there was a
Didn't
point. I
no.
believe there was a point where he sent a wire transfer that did go through. Like I think there was a point where, and
I
because remember,
wasn't certain.
well, at the very least, remember he was spending money on the women. Like he would fly them on private jets. Like that one, he flew on the private jet the first day they met. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I got to go to Prague for business," and the woman was on the jet with him. So somebody had to pay for that jet. And what he was basically doing was he was investing to build trust with new women
Mm-hmm.
by using the money from other women.
Yeah, okay, I'm a legitimate son of a billionaire because I can do all of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was in business they might call that bootstrapping to some
it is
extent. Right,
bootstrapping.
where
Mm-hmm.
basically, you have different types of quote unquote customers, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have the customers where there's deep trust and they're willing to spend big money, and then you have the new customers that you got to acquire and
Mm-hmm.
and build trust with them. So he was taking the money from the women who trusted him
Mm-hmm.
and using that on the women who didn't trust him to build their trust.
Yeah, in my world, we call it love bombing.
You love,
You
yeah.
just shower them. It's overwhelming. It's too much for
Hmm.
them to even stop and think logically about what's going on because there's always going to be red flags.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to see it. And I think another control tactic that people use in relationships is also a lot of broken promises.
Yeah.
They promise you this one thing and they
Mm,
never deliver. I'm going to give you the money. Come here and I'll give you my watch. And you could pawn my watch off and you can get the money that way. Or I'm sending you a check now. You have to come here, pay for your plane ticket and my plane ticket so that we can meet somewhere because I'm meeting with my lawyers and I'm going to give you a check. And that check never went through. So it is the issue is to all these broken promises. So it's just a chain of broken promises as a control tactic. And
really?
and
Okay.
it's and psychologically you're thinking, gee whiz, this is such a great catch. This is such a wonderful guy. He's a son of a billionaire. How lucky am I? So as soon as you start saying, how lucky am I that I'm dating someone who's like so much better than me and has so much money than me and looks so much better and dresses so much better, it is a power differential in the relationship at that point.
Mm,
And so when it's like this person who's way up here who's dating someone, you feel like, oh, I'm just lucky to have him. That's
yeah.
that's a
And you,
control
and you don't
tactic.
look a gift horse in the mouth.
Don't look the gift part. That's a control tactic because you can be manipulated when you have that sort of mind frame.
Mm,
And then one little thing that you do wrong, the first thing they do is belittle you. They call you names and you start to
mm,
accept it because again, you're the kind of person that says we should be together no matter what.
mm,
If I'm good to him and I'm nice to him, if I could just double down on my niceness to him, then he'll be that great catch of a guy that he was when we first started dating. So you
yeah.
start reminiscing about all the wonderful times that you had at the beginning of the relationship, and you
Mm,
never stop like Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately?
mm.
You don't get into that because, of course, we can't focus on our relationship because he's in this perpetual crisis.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, I see a comment. Black says that's also called tricking, and I think
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
but no, but here's the thing. What tricking, like he was playing a trick on them, but then there's also tricking like a prostitute type thing, right?
Oh,
Now here's the
I
difference.
wasn't
To
thinking
me,
that.
here's the difference, right? I
Hmm.
think a lot of people would say, oh, they were, I'm gonna respond to that in terms of what I'm saying, right? You hear people that might throw out the critique to say, oh, they were gold diggers, they were just trying to date a billionaire, and they deserve what they got. I differentiate that because this wasn't just similar to, for example, like you think about it, when a man goes and hires a prostitute, you know, they're expecting something, they're giving up money and they're receiving something in exchange. And if you
Hmm.
take all the morals out of it, it's an exchange. This to me is will be compared to prostitution if the prostitute took the money and didn't deliver what they promised. And I think that's the part, going back to what you were saying about broken promises,
Hmm.
right? That's what I think, that's where I think the biggest aspect of this crime comes into play is, so what? Okay, yeah, they want to date a billionaire. Studies show that biologically a lot of women are just wired to want to be around men who have some sort of strength. It might be financial strength, it might be physical strength, it might be intellectual strength. But women like security. Just they're wired to, and maybe they can provide it for themselves, but typically they don't want wimpy men, stupid men, broke men. Usually those things don't work in the man's favor. So they're attracted to the things a lot of women would be attracted to. And the thing was, he knew that, right? So his thing was, it seems, he's like, I'm going to dangle this fake carrot in front of you and get you to really invest in this relationship, invest with your body, invest with your money, invest with your emotional energy. And I'm not going to deliver on the things I promised.
Right. So what's interesting in my world, we kind of call that you fall in love with someone's potential too. You don't
Oh,
fall in love with what they really doing for
that's
you.
heavy.
They're like, oh, this can be a great relationship. When you start
Woof.
saying that, it's not a relationship, but it really can be. If we just keep working at this one thing, it can be a great relationship.
Mm.
That is just a terrible mentality.
At that point, what you're doing actually, it's terrible if you don't understand what it is and what you're getting into. Some people invest in potential as if the potential is real, like as if it's definitely going to work out. Potential is not real; it's potential, but potential is still potential because there's some cases like my mama invested in my daddy when my daddy wasn't who he is right now.
Oh yeah.
Right, and it worked out. He reached a
A
lot of
lot
his
of women
potential.
do.
Right. But there's a lot of cases though where you invest in potential and somebody just drags you through the mud because their potential ain't what you think it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, real normal relationships, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Boyce, if you needed money and you were in a crisis, I would help you out.
Well, that's because
You know what I mean?
I'm not
Because
potential though.
you're not
I
potential, but
done
I'm
did
just
I
saying.
finished my PhD, lady.
Well, I'm just saying, that
And
that's the sort of
it's a real
thing.
PhD. You got a lot of fake PhDs
Oh,
out
my
here.
my PhD is real
Got
too.
those like I got my degree in the weekend
Mm-mm.
and
Get on no weekend.
yeah, oh
Shoot.
my gosh. But you know what? It's
But
kind of but that's a good point though. I think, I think investing in potential is okay as long as you know what it is. Because even in investing, they call that a venture capitalist. Venture capitalists, what they do is they'll invest in 10 businesses and they know that 9 of them are going to go bankrupt. They're just hoping that the one who succeeds will help them make back all the money from what they lost. But the problem with love is you can't do what a venture capitalist does. You can't diversify. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to invest everything in one asset, one person, one relationship.
well, that's if you get married. I mean, you could just be honest and say, "Hey, I'm just dating around."
Well,
You
I think,
know.
in his case, I don't think it would apply. I don't think it would
Yeah,
apply.
his case it doesn't apply because he was being manipulative and controlling.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
Well, you know what? I think it's a warning sign, because here's the deal, right? This guy just happened to be the conniest of the con artists, right? He was the king of the con artists, but don't act like there ain't a whole lot of people out here that are running a game. First of all, Cardi B
Yeah.
told you. She told you what she does, how she does something similar to this guy, maybe even worse. They basically take the thing that they know that you want. Like, okay, these men want sex. So I'm gonna dangle it in front of him and get his money, and he's not getting anything that he bargained for. Same thing with him. He said, okay, these women want to be in love with a billionaire. They want to be showered with compliments and fake love. So I'm gonna give them fake love and get their money and walk away. Right. So these are the extreme examples, right? But then you have a lot of people who do this on a different scale, maybe not on as extreme of a scale, but it's out there. Like, I had I knew a guy a long time ago who kind of did a lot of what this guy does. He would go somewhere. What he would do is he would play on women's fantasies, and he would move to a new city where nobody knew him. He was very well spoken. He would make up whatever backstory he wanted to make up. Just like they said, this guy would pretend to be a Mossad agent one minute he's pretending to be a son of a billionaire, also. So that's what this guy did. This guy that I knew, he would tell some elaborate story about his previous life and blah 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 blah, and now he's ready to settle down. He wants to have a family, and he thinks you'd be perfect. That's the big one. That's what I think women. That's what gets women all the time. It's like I was thinking I want to have babies with you.
These promises of long
Yeah.
lasting life, and they know that you're looking for someone, that's what you're interested in. You find them. What are you looking for? Oh, I'm
Hmm.
looking to settle down. Well, what does that mean? So you go after those type of women.
Yeah, yep,
Hmm.
that's it. Yeah, and
You go after.
he could identify vulnerable women because
Yeah.
he had friends and relatives who could see right through his bullshit. Who were
Yeah.
like, "Get out of here, man."
I'm
Say,
sure it'd be nice to hear from the women that was like, and then he asked me for $10,000. I was like, get out of here. Like that would have been,
oh,
that would have been interesting. Like I saw that coming a mile away.
the only way I would give you $10,000 is if you give me 11,000 first.
that is funny. Yeah, it
But
was too soon and too fast. And after a month of dating, you're sending him money.
right,
That's the
well,
problem.
that's right, and that's what
Yeah,
it is, right? I think that when you get too caught up in the fairy tale, you're not paying attention to the fact that things are happening too fast.
too
You
fast.
haven't vetted the next step. And but love does that. Love plays a trick on you. Like I read all about the biochemistry that happens in your brain when you're in love when you mix in something as powerful as sex. It really does something to the human brain, especially for women. That
Mm-hmm.
oxytocin ain't nothing to play with. And they said oxytocin spikes in a woman's brain when she's pregnant. That's why mothers can't be separated from their children. It spikes during orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
When,
Graduations, weddings. Yeah.
yeah, when or
Mm-hmm.
when women feel connected to something or someone. So what it does is they said it makes you more vulnerable to suggestion. Like a
Mm-hmm.
man could just be like, "Do that," and you'd be like, "Okay."
Well, men do it too, because that's
Mm,
why what brings a man down is usually the prostitute. They get you in that vulnerable space, and then
mm.
tell me all the secrets. Those are the best
Oh,
agents.
that is so
The
true.
best agents. That's what brings a man
Remember
down.
Harlem Nights?
Harlem.
Daddy ain't coming home.
Sunshine really did it. But I mean, it's not even just on the movie. I mean, we see this in real life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what
Hmm.
this guy did that I knew back in the day. I knew him when we were young. When we got about 28 years old, I stopped talking to him. I was like, dude, I can't. I don't want to be your friend anymore because you into some stupid stuff. But one of the things that he would do, I noticed with his pattern, as I thought about it for the last 20 years, is he would move really fast with women.
Hmm.
And he
Yeah.
would didn't they're having sex. Next thing you know, he would instantly get them pregnant. That's another control
Oh,
tactic,
jeez.
right?
Okay.
They would move in together, then they would get married. And what would happen is over the next 3 or 4 months, the story would slowly unravel. And then the woman 6 months in would find out I didn't even know his real name.
Yeah.
And then all he would do is once he knew his cover was blown. This is what was interesting about this guy that made him different from the person I knew. Is one the guy I knew once his cover was blown, he would just go to a new city where nobody knew him and start all over again.
Well, that's kind of what this guy was doing. There's it's like, of course, they're not going to take accountability. They're never, ever
Mm,
going to admit that they're wrong. As soon as you push them and call them out on their mess, they're going to instantly get defensive and turn it around back on you. I mean, it's ultimate gaslighting, just like what the Democratic Party does to us, like you like to
oh
highlight
Lord.
all the time. We don't have to go there. But yeah, and the at the bottom of it is there's no empathy whatsoever. He had zero empathy for any of these women.
Like,
He didn't even
wouldn't there be a
care.
sociopath? Those sociopaths have no empathy.
Sociopath and psychopaths have no empathy,
Psychopath. That's what.
but I think he's more at a psychopath because sociopaths have a hard time. Like their emotion.
Mm.
Difference between a sociopath and a psychopath is that a psychopath is better at regulating their emotions
Oh, really?
because a sociopath would just go crazy and just kill people. Sociopaths usually don't live long, and they're in jail for a long time because they're not calculated enough.
Mm.
So a psychopath is calculating.
Oh, wow.
Sociopath usually it's environmental, but psychopaths, believe it or not, can be genetic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, psychopath, and it really is a genetic anomaly because if the world was created by psychopaths, if all of us were psychopaths, we wouldn't even reproduce it. We would just be done.
Didn't a lot, or don't they say a
Hmm.
lot of like high level politicians are
Yes,
psychopaths?
yes, they fought. Yes, they have the stomach. I mean, think about it. You have the stomach to just kill thousands of people at an instant, and you could just go on with your life and eat your little breakfast and sleep good at night. I just killed 10,000 people with my little bomb that I just dropped, and I'm just going on with myself.
Mm,
It's got to be a level of psychopath that's
mm.
there. There was actually a social worker who did a PhD on that. He analyzed he analyzed politicians and
Oh,
really made the
wow.
case for the fact that we have a lot of psychopaths in office.
Wow, that's
Hmm.
crazy. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? I think this guy would definitely qualify maybe in a psychopath
A
category. Would you
psychopath for
say?
sure, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it's sad, and well, anyway, guys, you know what? The documentary is called The Tinder Swindler, and it's on Netflix right now. And yeah, and I think somebody mentioned in the chat that he's still out here making money.
He's still out here making money. That's the infuriating part. But this was trending on Netflix, and it was like the top 10. That's how I found it. Thank you very much, boys,
Well,
for listening to me. You had a very busy day yesterday, and I told you about this documentary, and you stopped everything, to sit and watch it with me during dinner,
always,
and I appreciate that.
I always listen to you.
Yeah, but I like that because I feel bad sometimes. I don't want to like interrupt your day, but
Oh,
I felt good that you gave me that. So.
yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a really good documentary. It teaches you a lot about people, what you got to watch out for, and I mean, these people are real, and the reality is that there are thousands of people out here like this. Like, it ain't.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
this guy just happened to be exceptional in the sense that
Oh,
I
he is
was,
exceptional.
yeah, I was really stunned by the amount of detail
Hmm.
he could remember about all the women. Like if I was trying to keep up with that many women, I'd be
I
forgetting.
was like, Boyce,
I'd be
you could
getting that
never do
right.
this.
I would be getting names mixed up, and
Because
and and then when his cover would be blown, he was relentless. He never. It wasn't like he got to the point where he just said, "Oh shoot, they figured me out. I'm out. I'm not going to respond
oh
anymore."
no, he doubled
Message.
down.
This dude doubled and tripled down. He would be
Yes.
calling over and over again and
Hmm.
give me the money. What's going on? I haven't heard from you. Da, da, da. It was weird. I was like, wow, this guy's a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah, he was trying. I mean, that's when you knew his back was against the wall when he kind of lost it a little bit,
Hmm.
and started threatening people. That's
Yeah.
that's the third stage. I think it's the
Oh,
third
really?
stage. The first stage is a love bomb. The second stage is the belittling somebody by using those control tactics. But the
Oh,
third stage is just rejection. I'm gonna
oh,
off you. I'm just gonna you gonna pay
oof.
for this. He was really threatening those people's lives, and it made them too scared to go to the police. That's his
Wow.
control tactic.
Wow. That's heavy.
And hats off to those brave women that put
Mhm.
themselves out there so that we can see this illustration and talk about it today.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got one bad guy off Tinder, but I really encourage people to be mindful of the fact that there's thousands of others that are under the radar. They might not take you for 200,000. They might take you for 1,000.
Well, we know
You
the
know.
tactics now.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's the Dr. Heckle. What's that? Dr. Jekyll and Mr.
Mr. Hyde.
Hyde.
Yeah.
That's another sign that you got a manipulator. You're dating a
Really.
manipulator. Like, oh,
Wow.
Dr. Jekyll, I like him. He's really sweet. But when Mr. Hyde comes out, that's really bad. That's a sign that you got a master manipulator in your hands.
I think that
Hmm.
I think there's no substitute for really taking your time to get to know people.
Yes, take it slow.
Yeah, take it slow, pay
Hmm.
attention to everything. And I just really think that, and really it's even to the point, and I guess I think about this because I meet a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, every month I'm sure I meet somebody who would be a sociopath fit in that category. And what occurs over time is I keep everyone at a distance until people I trust have known you for a long period of time and I've seen you operate in multiple situations. And then I say, okay, it looks like this person's okay. But you gotta look up those warning signs. You can't just be letting people get all close to you, sleeping in your bed, around your family, up in your
Hmm.
house, and
Hmm.
you've known this person for 2 weeks. Are you
Yeah.
serious? Male or female? That's another misperception. I'll throw
Oh
this out,
yeah.
and then I'm gonna let you get the last word. But a lot of men, because we're invincible and all this other stuff, will let women around us that we don't
Yes.
know. And I'm telling you, some of these women are getting crafty. I I
Yeah.
I, I
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
that when I heard that Lawrence Taylor story, the football about what happened with the football player Lawrence Taylor in 2009, that really changed my whole perception of it. It let me know, okay, women are changing, women are evolving. Not that women swindlers haven't always been around, but it seems like something's kind of changing over time. But anyway, so yes, well the thing was, I remember when that lady called me and told me the story about those three girls, 16, 17, and 19, who basically knew that they would study like different rappers and entertainers that had money and would figure out what they liked. And they would go to the guy, they would offer him sex. He would go to the hotel room with them because they're like, oh, these are girls, what can they do to me? And they would put a date rape drug in his drink. And then while he was asleep, they would put the 15-year-old in the bed with him and take pictures. And then he would wake up and they would say, "We got these pictures, and if you don't pay us money, we're going to send the pictures to the press, to your wife, and we're going to send them to your team if you play like a sports team." And it was like, I think when I heard that story, it just kind of made me think like, we think as men like, oh, women can't hurt us, but no, women can.
I think the horrible part about that story is that I would venture to say that men are more reluctant to come forward
Yeah.
saying that this has happened to them because they don't want to be seen as stupid, as a sucker, and they don't have that type of self-compassion that women can have. You have to be
Mm,
compassionate with yourself because you have to be able to say, look, this woman is abusing me. That's psychological abuse, financial abuse. It's awful. Emotional abuse is what's happening. And the sad part about it is that there's no physical scar. It's not like someone punched you in the face. I mean, those emotional scars are lasting. And it's interesting because they said, yeah, this happened to me 5 years ago and I'm still feeling this pain. You
mm,
still feel that pain 5 years ago. You almost wish it was a cut because a cut can heal much faster than being manipulated like that. And it's terrible. I hope that more men start coming forward with how they've been manipulated because there should be a law against it. People should go to jail for doing that. I'm just amazed
mm.
that he really went to jail for a year,
He was in there for no, he was in there
15
for five.
months,
No, they
5 months.
gave him 15 months, but he got out after 5.
That's appalling to me.
Yeah, that's kind of stunning, and I'm
Yeah.
glad. And I feel like the documentary has done enough to draw attention to it that they're probably going to really follow him closely. And but then again, he was trying to get plastic surgery,
He
and
was trying to
so
get.
this guy's going to be out there. But what's interesting? I have a confession to make about something that I experienced. You want me to share
Okay,
part of
tell
it?
us about it.
Yeah, I was dating a girl when in my 20s, and when I was asleep one night, like she knew like our relationship was gonna end, and while I was asleep, she stole my credit card
Yeah.
and took my credit card, and in the middle of the night went and bought a whole bunch of stuff on my credit card. I had no idea, like because I didn't even see my statement for a while. And I remember, and the only reason I found out was because she called me to confess it because she was scared I was going to call the police and get her locked up.
Did you call the police?
Yeah, I did
Good.
because I was mad.
Very good.
Yeah, so check this out. So here's what happened when I called the cops. The cops were like, "So what was your relationship with this woman?" I said, "I was dating her." You were dating her. Like they were talk. They were kind of like laughing, like making a joke about it, and they because they thought I was some dude who was laying up with a prostitute and that the prostitute took my money, and they literally did nothing. They didn't help me or anything.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, so it's
We
kind
we
of
we've got to
like to your
change.
point. If it's in your point, what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I think we need to change that. Society needs to start looking at that kind of stuff more seriously because
Mm,
that's abuse. And it should be just as bad as physical abuse. And I think just like the big takeaway from this documentary is just if it feels like it's too good to be true, it is.
yeah, yeah. There we
Mm-hmm.
go. I think that's the moral of the story. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, be skeptical, especially when you talk about the rest of your life. I can't imagine with these women, like slept with this guy who's been with all thousands of
Oh my
women,
goodness.
right? So you got to go get checked for diseases now, and your bank account's empty, and so when you talk about investing your life and your heart and your money and all that, you got to be thoughtful about that. So take your time, like don't be rushing stuff.
And we need to stop glorifying this, taking advantage of other people and not caring about their feelings. We need to
Mm,
stop that. We really need to have a little more empathy and compassion for other people. I don't see enough of that out there. It's almost like, God, don't hate the player, hate the game, or whatever people say. I think enough is enough, and I'm glad this documentary came out.
yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, so the documentary is on Netflix and it's called The Tinder Swindler. So, feel free to take a look at it. I think that you um, will find it interesting. And Mrs. Martin says not defending him, but if it was given, can it really be deemed stolen? That's it. But it was given under false pretenses, and
Under
I think
false
that's where people.
pretenses, he said I'll pay you back, and he never paid them back the way he
Mhm.
said.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, but then again,
What
it's
happened to debtor's prison? We're gonna bring
Right.
that back.
You're funny. You're funny. Well, anyway, everybody, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button before you go. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Also, Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She's a licensed therapist and full professor of social work. So if you'd like to learn more about the work she's doing, feel free to visit her website, or you can follow her at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and God bless you. We'll do another pillow talk in a couple of days. So we hope you have a wonderful day, and be smart and be careful out here. It's a crazy world we live in.
Oh, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.